inside that thing. Good, so, and I'll give you there. Yeah. Don't see it outside. Don't see it outside.
All right, it's 5 o'clock. Call our meeting to order. Start with pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, yeah.
So
Look for a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
moved.
Second. By Gary, second by Logan. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Move on to the vouchers. Pretty short list this time. I see the new furnace is in there. Any questions at all? Look for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to pay the vouchers and payroll amount of $81,514.25.
Motion from Logan,
Second.
and from Nathan. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Correspondence, we have a email from Don H. I'm writing to share a concern regarding the cleanliness of the bike trail along Highway 61. While recent weather may clear some debris, there is currently an excessive amount of dog waste along the path that has become quite a nuisance for regular users. As a runner, I will sometimes run along the grass for a softer surface, but there is no clear spaces. There is that much waste. As a resident who values our outdoor spaces in Esko, I'm disappointed by the lack of trail etiquette. Would the town consider installing small pick up after your pet signs, or perhaps including a reminder in the next public announcement? I recall seeing this addressed in Esko Corner previously and believe a fresh reminder could help restore the trail's condition. Thank you for your time and all you do for our town.
Do we still have the sign and collection point at the bridge?
Yes. Yeah, that's still there. I mean, I think we definitely put it out in the paper, put it out in Esko Corner.
Yeah, just remind people, but are the bags stocked?
Yes.
Okay, so really no one has any reason to not pick up after. I can put a reminder in the next article I write.
Good idea. All right, thank you. Esko Fun Days. A letter from Melanie, dear members of the Thomson Town Board. On behalf of Esko Community Partnership, I thank you for your continued financial support of community events in the Esko community. The money that you contributed to us in 2025 supported Esko Fun Days expenses. This summer, we again plan to hold the events for Esko Fun Days beginning on Tuesday, August 4th for National Night Out and ending Saturday, August 8th with a parade, 5K, games in the park, car show, and street dance. The budget for 2025 Esko Fun Days was just over 10,000. We were not only able to cover all of these costs, but also put a deposit down for an exciting new offering in 2026. A Ninja Anywhere obstacle course. I would greatly appreciate your consideration for any funding you have available to help offset the costs of this week-long community event. Your generous financial support makes these events possible and allows us to sustain low-cost opportunities for adults and youth in the community. Your generosity is greatly appreciated. Last year we did 2,000.
So, yeah,
Right, Bruce?
I think we budgeted the same for this year.
I'd
It's in
make,
the budget.
Yep.
I'd make the motion,
I'll second it.
2,000.
Motion from Logan, and a second from Ruth to give $2,000, and that will be out of the Joint Sports and Recreation Fund. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. We also have requests. Hi Tiffany, my name is Kelly Hansen and I am on the Esko Fun Days Planning Committee. I would like to be added to the agenda to ask for use of the park picnic tables at National Night Out on August 4th. I will be at the meeting to ask any questions. Well, I guess I could have just had you talk about this. Can you use the tables again? I got no problem with it.
I got no.
That worked out great last year.
You need a motion for that or?
I don't think we do. I don't think we did last year.
No.
So-
We didn't.
So yes, to answer your question. No problem. All right, moving on to citizen comments. All right, we have a few people signed up here. Give a couple minutes for each one. First would be Jamie Workman.
Switch that on, I don't. I think it's on.
Oh,
Good afternoon. My name is Jamie Workman, and I am here alongside my brother Shane Workman. Shane and I currently lease the property in Esko. Many of you also know as the former Esko liquor store. First, we just want to thank you, both board members of the community, for the time, consideration, and the good faith already extended to us throughout this process. We have invested significant time, energy, and resources into this project. We truly would not be this far along without the continued supports. As we all know, the world is changing. Cannabis is now legal in Minnesota, and it is no longer an unregulated product. It is strictly controlled, rigorously tested, and held to a very high standard and compliance standards. This shift represents an important move away from uncertainty toward accountability, transparency, and public safety. Our goal is to be part of that change in the way that reflects the values of this community. This isn't just a business opportunity for us, it's personal. We were both born and raised here, and I have personally chosen to raise my family here. We care deeply about this town, the people, the future we are trying to build together. We also understand that with a new business, especially like this one, there are valid questions and concerns. We want to meet those concerns with openness, responsibility, and a commitment to doing this the right way. If appointed, our dispensary will operate with professionalism, discretion, and discreet adherence to all state and town regulations. Every staff member will be properly trained, vetted, and held to very high standards. of conduct and compliance. This will be a retail-only business. There will not be on-site consumptions, no loitering, and no cultivating or manufacturing at this location. Our intention is to create a safe, respectful environment and reflects positive and community and that does not disrupt it. We're also committed to being a responsible and considerate neighbor. Our signage will be discreet and with we will not include cannabis-related imageries. We will ensure that no cannabis odor is detected outside the building. We plan to create well-paying jobs and prioritize hiring locally so that the economic benefits of the business stays within the community. We also want to give back a meaningful and ongoing way. As outlined in our business plan, we are committing to contribute 2% of a quarterly profits back into the community with a goal of increasing that to a 3% business as it becomes established. And I'm going to go up and I will personally give 2% directly to the school on a quarterly profitable basis. This level is giving directly tied to the abilities to operate at our current location of the former liquor store, which provides the accessibility, the sustainability needed to support these contributions over time. Supporting local initiatives, organizations, and community needs is a priority for us. It is not an afterthought.
Okay, your 2 minutes is up. Thank you.
I can't. I got it.
We also had
Got that up.
Brianne Erickson
Shane, could you finish?
Is it Rayan?
or Rayanne Erickson.
I'm gonna be going
That's
to
wrong word.
pass. I'm gonna be one.
A pass.
Okay, Chris Pinkert.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I've been at both of the planning commission meetings on this topic and was happy to see that this was delayed until after we got back from spring break. When we were on spring break, I wrote quite a lengthy letter to the town board, but I'll give you the short version of it. From my perspective, I understand that the town board is required to modify the zoning ordinance to put cannabis retail as an allowed use somewhere. I understand that. There at the planning commission was significant opposition to putting it at the proposed location, the former Esko liquor store, for a lot of reasons, not the least of which was the visibility of that site and it being right along the entrance to town and on the way to school. There have been claims related to money that this business will generate. I did some research into it. Unfortunately, in 2025, the state repealed the provision that would kick back 20% of all cannabis sales taxes to counties and cities. Even if that was still in place, Esko is not an incorporated city, and so we wouldn't be getting any of that tax money. So I'm happy to hear Mr. Workman does plan to throw some money to the city, but there's no tax money that will come to the town of Thomson as a result of this business. When I look at this, I'm not anti-cannabis. I just don't think that that's the right spot. And that was the position I took at the zoning meeting. That is the position that the chair of the zoning commission, Gottschall, got to that night. And that is why it was a 4-1 vote to recommend that this type of business be placed in the business park as opposed to highway commercial. I would ask that you adopt the recommendation of the planning commission. And thank you.
Right, next we have Mark Nyholm.
I'll pass, Tony.
You'll pass. And Charlene Jones.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I've always felt Esko was my community, with having my oldest open enrolled here and being very involved in Esko sports, arts, and academics. ever since she started preschool in 2004. However, it wasn't until 2019, after I adopted my two youngest daughters and wanted them to start kindergarten here, that I decided at all costs we had to live in a town that they would go to school in. It was an expensive shift in my finances. But with Cloquet, my old neighborhood in particular, slowly becoming the cesspool of drugs and crime, it was a move I felt we had to make. In order to raise my family right. And give them a fighting chance in this crazy messed up world we are living in. And I'm really glad we did. Esko is an amazing community. I live about a block from the school. And I absolutely love my neighbors and neighborhood. I am disgusted to think I have to have any type of cannabis business in our community, because sadly, even if the entire community voted against it, we are still forced to allow a cannabis business to operate in our community. But fortunately, we do have a say as to where they can operate. You can tell me that this should be allowed, this is legal, but coming from a family of addiction, this hits home to me. I ask that you, the board, consider the family-oriented community we live in and how close the old liquor store is to a densely populated area with many school-aged families and a school and large childcare center located nearby. Do we really want people coming into our lovely community directly from I-35 for all the school events that Esko is so proud of? And a cannabis business being the first thing they see as they pull off the freeway. What a thing to be known for in such a small town. I urge you to adopt the recommendations of the zoning commission and locate this type of business in the business park and away from our kids where it belongs. Thank you.
That is all we had signed up for citizen comments. So with that, I think we'll move right to the new business and we'll go right to letter C, cannabis zoning amendment, and see if there's discussion from the board members. Okay.
Well, he had asked for that survey to be put out. And Chris, you be so kind to speak to it? Do you want me to give a background to it, or do you?
I can do it.
Okay.
I have it in my power.
First identify her. We know who she is for the record.
She is speaking to us. I think she'll introduce herself.
Okay.
She has a whole background.
I'll put my laptop up there, and unfortunately I can't show it on the screen, but I can put a copy of the slides out on the Esko neighbors page if we can't get it to work that way.
And just state who, for those that might not,
I'm sorry, what?
state who you are for those that might not.
Sorry, it's not signed in. I can't use it on this computer. Get it signed in.
Good evening, my name is Chris Antone, for those that don't know me, and I also serve as one of the administrators for the Esko Neighbors Facebook page. So tonight I'm going to go over the background on how we arrived on discussing this topic. I will also review the Planning Commission's meetings as well as their recommendation for the zoning. How we ended up creating the public survey that was posted for community engagement. I'll go over the survey findings and results, as well as share some of the comments that were provided in the community feedback. Most of us know that the state of Minnesota legalized recreational cannabis in 2023. And underneath, excuse me, the statute, it says a local government unit that issues cannabis retailer registration under section 342.22 may by ordinance limit the number of cannabis licensed cannabis retailers, as well as going on to say that retail operation with a retail operations endorsement to no fewer than one registration for every 12,500 residents. It goes on to say if a county has one active registration for every 12,500 residents, a city or a town within the county is not obligated to register a cannabis business. So from there, on March 17th, the Township Planning and Zoning Committee held a public hearing. And it was a very long meeting that yielded plenty of community comments that were for, neutral, and against the proposed ordinance location. Ultimately, the committee recessed the meeting so they could get further information and allow Attorney Pritchett additional time to find some answers. The committee reconvened on Tuesday, March 24th, and at that meeting, Attorney Pritchett shared that the definition of a school did not include the bus garage, which was a question that was posed. Further, Attorney Pritchett shared that the business park does meet the criteria of a suitable location and could be considered as an acceptable zoning location in addition to the former liquor store. Ultimately, the committee had a discussion. They had comments between themselves because the public hearing was closed at this point. And after further discussion, they ultimately voted 4-1, recommending the zoning change to allow retail sale and production as a permitted use in the area zone business park. And that recommendation is now forwarded to you today. On March 25th, Logan Sling personally contacted me and said, Chris, can we put out a Facebook poll? Can we get some additional community feedback? Because I want to make sure that we do this right as a board. And I want to hear from people that may not have been able to attend those meetings or may not be present when the recommendation is presented to the board. We discussed it and we decided that in the best interest of the community, it would be best not to do it as a Facebook poll, but rather through a Google form, because this would allow us to put in required data and it would allow us to be able to verify the data presented, preventing the use of fake accounts on Facebook or AI chatbots or all the other anomalies that can come forward with that. This form was ultimately shared on the Esko Neighbors Facebook page, and it was noted both in the survey post as well as the survey itself that this was directed for Thomson Township residents and stakeholders, stakeholders being defined as businesses. Required fields were intentionally made to allow us to verify the responses, and we set it up to where it would automatically shut that survey down at 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday, April 1st. The survey yielded 367 responses. Out of those responses, 311 were verified as Thomson Township residents and stakeholders, and they were verified by use of Carleton County GIS, Google White Pages, and the Minnesota Secretary of State website. Yes, I became your professional neighborhood stalker, and I spent hours poring over this data. In those survey findings, the first question on the form stated, are you a resident of Esko or Thomson Township? And out of those 367 responses, 88.8 reported being a resident, with 11.2 reporting being a non-resident. To be fair, the Google form dumps the data into an Excel spreadsheet. So what I did from there is I left a tab with raw data. I copied it, pasted it into a secondary tab, and I did a sort from there to ensure that we had non-manipulated data compared to the clean. From the raw data results, which included 367 responses, 0.8 reported being opposed, 43.9 reported being against. Why is that? I goofed. And in the first 20 minutes, someone publicly called me out and said, hey, there's no way for me to say that I am for this. So that was immediately corrected. in that calculation, it makes 44.7% in opposition of cannabis being sold at the former Esko liquor store location. 44.7% reported being for the former Esko liquor store location, and 10.7 reported being neutral. From the clean data results asking, how do you feel about allowing cannabis to be sold in the former Esko liquor store location? 311 responses said 51% or 159 responders reported being opposed. 113 responders or 36.3% reported being for. And 39 responders, 12.5% reported being neutral. Going back to the raw data results, the question at hand was, if you have the opportunity to choose where cannabis is zoned by ordinance in Thomson Township, which location do you prefer? And out of those 367 responses, 42.2% prefer the former liquor store location. 43.1% prefer the business park, and 14.7% reported as neutral. Looking at the clean data results, also asking if you have a preference on where it is zoned, 311 responses, 155 responding, which equates to 49.8% that they prefer this to be zoned in the business park. 112 people or 36% prefer the former Esko liquor store location, and 44 responders or 14.1% reported as neutral. The comments were all across the board. Some being very logical, some being emotional, and some, I don't know why they put a comment there, but it was there. One of them being, I don't want it at all. This does not belong at the entrance of my community. Better to have customers directed on and off the freeway than going through town and past the school. This is non-consistent with the stated values of this community as set forth in the 2040 comprehensive plan. Thank you for requesting input on this ordinance. There were several people that cited that they live daily with medical pain, including insomnia and other issues, and having the dispensary in town would save them time to get the medical cannabis that they need. Parents addressed how they make this personal. They're worried about their children in our community and how this impacts them. Some of them specifically citing that they have concerns about their children now riding across the bridge over to Kaywood for ice cream. Others brought up the infamous Tequila Town sign, and they cited conservative stance that the board has previously taken when close proximity locations to the school. Others cited we do not have 24/7 law enforcement, so how do we address the eventual rise in crime? But at the same time, someone else said with the proper controls, surveillance, and monitoring, this has worked effectively and safely for other communities. Cannabis products are still federally illegal. If you control what kind of signage is put up, that will also control how the perception is perceived in Esko. And it also keeps the traffic on and off the freeway rather than in town. I was more than pleased to see that the planning committee voted 4-1 for this to be zoned in the business park. A lot of people cited property taxes and how I need some relief and this can help me. Others cited that, does this really help us? Because currently the state repealed it back. And ultimately, it was disclosed that Logan is a silly goose. With that, I want to personally thank the 367 individuals that took time to respond to this survey. I read every one of your comments. I understood every one of them personally. I also want to thank the Planning Commission for the additional time and effort that they placed in this recommendation. They did not have to recess that meeting, look into it farther, and come back with their recommendation for today. And finally, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present this data. It's been my pleasure.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Discussion.
I may have missed it, but was it indicated, you talked that you did a lot of work on mapping that these were all from Thomson Township or not? Did it also distribute addresses so that the spread, was it all from downtown or does it spread across the township equally?
If I'm understanding your question correctly, you're asking like when I researched the addresses to determine where they were located. The
Yeah.
form required that they had to enter an address. So becoming your friendly neighborhood stalker. There were some individuals that did not put their full address on there, and I'm assuming they were concerned that it would be publicly placed on a screen. So that's where I dove onto Google. I would type in the name, the partial address. It would pop up Google white pages. I would use that address and verify it in Carleton County GIS. And if it was a match, I included it.
So I think I understood that. So what is the spread?
It's all around.
Right.
St. Louis River Road became a challenge because we had people that were on the St. Louis County line that responded. So they were ultimately deleted from the clean version, but they were included in the raw data version. There was also a couple people that maybe intentionally, maybe accidentally duplicated their response. So when you look at the clean data, the duplicates were removed out as well.
I think what Gary's trying to ask is did you see as it got closer to a certain spot, if it started to sway the percentage one way or the other?
Yeah.
No,
I
the
understand.
feedback was consistent throughout the township. It wasn't like one particular zone was heavy.
Thank you.
Any additional questions?
Sorry, I made you come back.
It's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, anyone?
I think if we take out all of the external factors and we look at this purely from a zoning perspective, the highway commercial district makes the most sense. But we have a lot of other external factors at play here, namely a whole lot of community feedback. And I've really labored over this. I have read through this entire survey multiple times and I've read every single comment. So thank you very much for putting that together. I've reached out to people all across the township to solicit opinions, and it's a lot closer than I would like it to be, but I think it does lean fairly steadily in one direction. And when we balance what I think makes the most sense, just looking at it from a zoning perspective with the perception of our community and what our residents want to see, I think that's more important. And I've talked about this before with people, and some may agree with me and some may not, but and I only speak for myself when I say this, but I messed up on Tequila Town, and I want to use that experience, learn from that, and make the right decision here. That's what I've got for now.
I'm gonna add to that. In the two planning meetings, the two big things that were brought up were safety and perception. Those are the two big things that were talked about. And the one thing I wrestle with in terms of safety, especially with the industrial business park, is that we can safely assume most people visiting will be from not in this town. And then let me back up a little bit. I contacted several cannabis shops that are currently open for business and got kind of a rough idea of traffic numbers. So the two I contacted in Duluth, on a low day, they'll see 50 people. On a busy day, 125, 150. Well, some of them may walk, some of them might drive, but for here, everyone's going to be driving. So we can anticipate an increase in traffic. Now, speaking to one in Cloquet, on a busy day, they might see 250 customers. And I asked, why so different? And they had said it's easy because they don't have to charge sales tax. So they get a lot more business from other places that do. So my concern is that we'll be on the higher end of that because, as it was pointed out, we don't charge sales tax. So the product will be able to be sold cheaper. Now, if you put in the business park into Apple GIS, Google, or anything else, it will send you right down 61 every time. Coming from Hermantown, Proctor, Duluth, any of those. Eventually you come on to I-35 and then you're on 61. And that takes you right by the school. Now, we already have enough challenges with the intersection there at the school. And with the big change coming, like it or not with it, that's what really concerns me with having it in the industrial park, is that is a lot of extra traffic, and especially if those people aren't from around here. So now they're navigating through a busy intersection with young kids, and people already wrestle with roundabouts. I mean, let's be honest. So I have a lot of concerns with that. And then the other thing was the perception. And I understand, let's be honest, you know, it's still illegal in many states. It's illegal federally, and it wasn't that long ago that it was illegal here in Minnesota. So there's already that stigma that comes with it. I mean, I still will walk down the street and I'll smell it and I'll, what was that? Oh, wait a second. Yeah, that's right. It's legal. So, but the perception goes more than just what people think of the community. There's also another facet of that, and that's the perception of anyone looking to establish a business. And as Nathan brought up with Tequila Town, we already have a black eye of not being welcoming to business and making it hard. And if we, in my humble opinion, forcing it to go into the business park, it looks bad because there is no retail. I have the permitted uses for the industrial park. And while, you know, we could have a restaurant there, we can have a lot of commercial retail. The sad thing is those permitted uses haven't been updated since before the business park even started to get developed. It was a blank slate. We had no idea what was going to happen, what it was going to turn into. What I did find interesting is that nowhere in the permitted uses in the industrial park was liquor allowed. Nowhere. You could have a restaurant, but they couldn't serve alcohol. You couldn't have a liquor store. All that was zoned highway commercial. So, and I know this was brought up at the planning meeting where trying to find a comparable use. And if you ask me, alcohol, liquor is the most comparable. You have a mind-altering substance that's limited to sale to people 21 or older. And it already has a stigma with it. So I find it interesting that nowhere since the creation of the industrial park was alcohol or liquor ever allowed in the industrial park. But now that's where they want to stick it. And you combine that with, there's no other retail business in the industrial park. All but 2 lots have been sold, and everything that has been developed is industrial use. It falls under the industrial use category. So back to the perception aspect, I think that could easily be viewed as, well, we have to allow it and we're going to stick it somewhere where we don't want it. And I think that's wrong. Personally, I think the perception aspect is we need to be welcoming of businesses. It's been stated time and time again that this community is a bedroom community. And should this community ever grow, those businesses are going to help offset the tax burden on people, whether it's just in increased property taxes, or eventually it might be decided that we do need to become a city and that we can collect sales tax and help ease the burden on people. But anyway, I'll stop, let everyone else talk, but those are my concerns with the planning commission's recommendation. Hello,
No, that's good.
All right, well, I'm gonna totally go with the recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission because I know they've done a lot of research on it. Giving it a lot of hard thought, listening to the public opinion, researching it legally. And so I'm inclined to go totally with the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation.
I suppose I should say something. I'm glad that we did the survey, or it was done. We didn't do it, but it was done. And it does more or less kind of reconfirm what I think I already knew. It's a 50-50 split. You could flip a coin. The difference from my perspective is the passion of the people that would prefer that it weren't at the liquor store, and their reasoning resonates with me. I too think it is an inappropriate gateway view to our little city or township. I have also, and Nathan has probably said this better than me, but I've reached out to a lot of people. And that 50-50 comes through. And I just emphasize that the people that prefer that it weren't there are so much more passionate than the people that would say, yeah, it's okay if it's there. And more than I get, I wasn't taking notes with how many did I talk to and how many were, but I got a lot of neutrals. It didn't care. They don't care. If it has to be here, put it where you think it's gonna be fine. The safety issue, it resonates with me. I understand that we're challenged with the high school where it is, and as we grow, and if we were to become a city and have the ability to do some sales tax, maybe that would be a revenue opportunity, but that's a thing for another day. You can't use that in both directions. But from a safety perspective, it's reasonable. It's a reasonable concern. At the same time, I think that we are a long ways from getting a cannabis dispensary located in that location in the business park. And in the meantime, we can come up with strategies that perhaps would direct people more effectively with Google and other software companies that make these maps. And I think that's an option that is doable. So from my perspective, and again, I was a part of the planning zoning commission. I sat on that, both of the meetings, and I went in with an open mind on that. And as a matter of fact, I argued against putting it in the business park until I listened more directly to the public comments, and Jim Gotchel made a wonderful argument for putting it in the business park, and I support that. That's where I'm going.
It really is a complicated issue that doesn't have an easy solution. And I know that would take no pleasure in voting either way on this.
Yeah, I think the most, like you said, the most logical place as far as zoning is on the corner of the interstate. And I believe 100% that the traffic getting off the interstate and back on the interstate is going to be kept half a mile away from the school. And I think that would be a wonderful spot for it. Like Logan said, you put it in the business park, you're gonna have all these cars. It might be 20 a day, it might be 250 a day. They're gonna be coming down 61. They are, and they're not gonna know where the business park is. And they're gonna turn around, they're gonna go back the other way, and then they're gonna come back the other way. it's true. That's what's gonna happen. I do not like going against the planning commission. I think they did a wonderful job. They put on a very good meeting. They did everything textbook. And I know I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here, but, I don't like the business park because I sat in the meeting out here and I heard people saying to each other, yeah, put it in the business park. It'll fail for sure there. And the state has done the hard work for us. The state has made it legal. The state has made it so that we can put all kinds of restrictions on 1,000 feet from school, 500 feet from churches, all these, and we did all these restrictions. And one of the things they said is you cannot purposely zone them into a place that will not work. And I truly feel that that's what we're looking at doing by putting it in the industrial park. We're trying to put it somewhere where it won't work. Well, now there is some industrial park on the other side of the interstate too. So maybe it could just open on the other corner of the interstate in that industrial park. But why would we force it to do that when there's already a building kitty corner? It's not an easy decision, and anybody thinks that this is an easy decision tonight is wrong.
I will add to the perception aspect. I've spoken with the gentlemen that seek to open the business, and they have assured me it's going to be subtle signage. There's not going to be visible pot leaves. There's not any of that stigma that comes with it. And I know that at the planning meeting, that was a big concern, is that people are going to see this and right away it's going to have this big 8-foot tall pot leaf, and it's not. And so I think that helps to the perception of it, is in the 30 seconds it takes to actually see the business, being it's tucked down in the hole and you drive by, you do not even know what it is. People will know pot leaf, sure, but I've been assured that it will not have anything that has that aspect. If it was going to have a pot leaf, I might have, some more of the perception concerns, because I get it, it is one of the main entrances of the town. And I do take a lot of pride in this community, just like everyone here. I live here. I have 2 young children. This is where we're going to raise them. And I'm not concerned about it.
So, not to interrupt you, but that's all fine and well for now. But what if they decide to sell the business to somebody else who doesn't have that? The community giving 2% of their profits.
Well,
Worried about the
if this
sign.
gets approved, to be actually anywhere in the township, once we get this figured out and it gets opened up, I think we need to go to the state, because we can ask to have a sales tax. As a township, we can ask to have a sales tax. I don't know how hard it is, Dave, maybe you know.
It'd be political, it's legislative, so.
Yeah, it would just go to the taxing branch, and you would go down and you would be heard, before them, and you can, as a township, you can tax.
Yeah, taxing isn't my question. It's the visibility. So
Well,
somebody
see
else
that,
buys
even the signs are supposed to go through our zoning.
And maybe after this, we update our sign ordinance.
I think, I think if you have an opportunity to do that, that would be a good idea to do, to update the signage and even specifically for this use, you can say, if this is the use, if you're licensed under this ordinance, then these are the parameters for your sign. So there's a lot of room on those things, but yeah.
after the fact?
Once their signs are up, then they're grandfathered in. But I think what I hear Logan saying is that he's not concerned about these guys and their sign, because of assurances they've made. So I mean, you're right. It's, once the sign is there, Gary, it's there's not much we can do about it if it complies with our current ordinance. But we have the ability to amend that ordinance and make it more strict so that it's kind of what you want to see or not see, specifically, so.
And one last thing that I'll say is that I didn't survey as many people about this as I normally would, because I knew that there was a survey being done by Chris and Logan, and I thought, well, we'll get some good results there, which we did get some excellent results. I think that's very, very neat. Because normally I would try to go out and talk to 50 people or 100 people and see what they say. But I will say that I've had 2 people come to me that were against it, and I've had over a dozen that think there's nothing wrong with it. And I think it's a lot easier for people to speak out against it, being that this is what it is, than it is to speak out for it, if that makes sense.
And one more point I'll add to the planning meeting is the big reason why I asked for the survey is because there were 2 items on the agenda for that planning meeting, and both served the general area. So it seemed like it was highly concentrated for feedback in that one spot. And the select few people I spoke to before that meeting, they were here for the other issue, but they ended up speaking to the cannabis. So I felt like it was just, you know, I had my reservation. And again, I've talked to a lot of people even through this whole thing, trying to understand, you know, everything from lifelong cannabis users to new players in the game, to everyone, because I didn't grow up with this. So when we were navigating this process, you know, I'm trying to bring in as much information as possible. I know people that lived out in Colorado when it first began, just trying to understand the, you know, everything with it. So I just, that was one of the things that kind of raised an eyebrow to me, as it seemed highly concentrated that night. And absolutely, I was here tonight, and it seemed like everybody here was strongly against it. And, you know, then it's like, you know, from the conversations I've had with people, that doesn't seem representative of the general opinion. And that's why I asked Chris to help me with this poll, and she took it and ran with it and did a bang up job, which I'm forever in your debt, Chris. Thank you. But it was nice to see, you know, again, and also just the people that it affects. I could care less what people in Cloquet think. I could care less what people in Duluth think. What I cared about is what the people here think. And Nathan, to your point, this is not an easy decision. I've been dreading this for weeks. You know, no matter what, I mean, we've seen the split on the data, and there are people strongly opinionated on both sides. And no matter what we do, we're gonna upset a lot of people. You know, but this is why we sit in these seats. We have to make the bad decisions.
Tough decision.
Yes, thank you. Well, some will say bad decision.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to take the recommendation of our planning and zoning commission and establish zoning in the industrial park for this
Business park.
business park. Industrial park, it's called.
I would second that.
I request a roll call vote.
Yes. We have a motion by Ruth and a second from Gary. And Nathan has requested a roll call vote, so we'll start with Nathan.
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Aye.
opposed,
Opposed.
motion passes 3-2. Thank you, everyone. All right, we'll back up on new business to Northridge Park. We have a group here from Northridge Park, or? That's not last before reading your letter.
Can I mention one thing?
Yes.
On that ordinance, then what would need to happen is that that amendment will need to be published. And so it will become effective upon publication. So,
Okay.
So that's, just so you know that, we should get that in the newspaper, as soon as possible. So that's effective.
I am Jerry Moran. I'm chair of the park committee. And were you given sheets?
For parks needs?
Just needs.
Anyway, just some park updates, on the building. Back door needs to be fixed. And it's barely together. It's falling apart. The sills needs to be replaced. And also the steps that are just wooden steps there. That's, I think both are a liability to anybody that uses, goes in through that door. We were there last summer for a meeting and we were in a downpour and we actually watched the water going underneath. If this was going in from Northridge Park, from the Ridge Road Park, this corner right here, we could watch the water go underneath the building that's washing out underneath the slab. So that needs to be filled somehow, either with gravel or sod, keep the water from doing that. So I think all the way around the building needs to be, so that sheds the water away from the building. And the restroom doors need to be painted. They're steel doors, they're rusting. Those are needs that we see. As far as wants, playground mulch and landscape fabric for Colton's playground. We estimated a cost of about $700 to do that. Stuff that was in there last year. There were weeds growing in there. This was really unsightly. We felt it was dangerous for kids too. We would like new cabinets for the inside of the building to replace what we've got there. And that would be somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000. Depending on what type of cabinets we put in. And when we were given money last year to buy new tables and chairs, Irene stayed within the budget and she was short 4 chairs. So we were asking if those could be in the budget too. I think they're about $25 a chair or less. So those are the wants. Any questions?
How much do we have in the park fund for expenses of this nature? Any idea?
Not off the top again.
Okay,
These are a lot of the same things that I've brought
right.
during work sessions and reports before. So this is what we're hoping can get done while we're going through the county to hopefully do a lot more in the future.
So as far as my conversations with Dan is we can't touch anything outside the building.
No, this would just, we can
So,
only
well,
do stuff
the-
inside.
No, but the fabric and mulch, that's gonna change elevation potentially, so we can't do that.
But it's replacing the fabric and mulch that was there.
Right, but we already got in trouble with the county after some of the stuff we've done. So I was under the impression that basically the county said you can't touch anything outside the building.
I talked to Chris Berg and he did say that, but I didn't know if mulch would qualify.
Yeah, I think we should clarify on that.
As far as I can understand it, anything that can displace water,
Mhm.
we can't do because it's floodplain. So if we raise something an inch over here, it displaces that much water somewhere else in the event of a flood.
Yeah.
So adding the fill next to the building certainly can't do. So
I think also, along with what Tony said, to have a clarification through Carlton County before.
Well, we've been waiting a long time for that.
Yes, you have.
You can also apply for variance with him. I mean, to shore up an existing building is not an unreasonable request,
Right.
you know, and.
I don't think adding mulch to a playground is an unreasonable request.
No, what you're asking for, I mean, this is Mr. Berg's opinion and his statement, but if you apply for a permit to do this and then are denied that permit to do these things, then you can also apply for a variance and go through that process, just like a citizen would for their home, so, and you've got an existing structure. So I've got to believe that there's going to be some room there.
well, that was my point, is before we just give the go ahead to do it, those certain items, because Dan has the delineation results. I don't know what's happened with them.
We haven't had them for very long at all. I don't think.
I thought they were done last fall.
Well, I only
I think
heard
we
in
just
March
got
that we
them.
just got them.
Oh, okay.
I was told December
It was March.
by Dan.
You will.
Dan told me in December they have the delineation done.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten it back though. I just have a question to circle back to the variance about the mulch and stuff. So Ashley Allen and I are on the Parks Committee and we went to Chrisburg and asked some of these questions. And then we got in trouble for going and talking to Chrisburg. So who can go to Chrisburg and ask these questions so we can get a move on some of this other than the Parks Committee just meeting every month and then spinning our wheels?
I think Dan has the most knowledge of this and has the best working relationship with Mr. Berg. So.
Yeah, I guess if I can speak, I think that you guys have recommendations, and if you can work with Dan to put that into a formal application, because until the county planning department sees an application for permit to do things within the wetland, you're gonna get opinions.
But
And
so
so.
we need to go through Dan.
Yeah,
and
and I
send
think,
Dan to Chrisburg.
so, yeah, so let me finish that. I would say that the board should authorize Dan to work with with the Parks Department to come up with a proposal and an application and pursue that, so.
And we've changed our liaison. Right now Gary's in charge of the park too, so maybe working with him.
Yeah, we can work with Dan.
Yeah.
So Dan's the man.
Yeah, so I mean, you've changed hands a few times since you guys got started.
Yeah.
Do you have a total cost? I mean, you know,
Well, on the other hand though, like painting the restroom doors can be done, back door can be fixed, new cabinets if we decide, that's all stuff that can be done.
without a permit.
Yeah.
What do they need? I mean, okay, so then my question is, with their list currently, other than maybe the question mark on landscape fabric, which I don't see a problem with myself, but what here would require the permit?
It seems to me that there's some question about whether you're displacing, cubic feet of space there. So, in my view, you're shoring up an existing building. If you shove a bunch of gravel underneath it, then that's still the footprint of the building that has always existed. I just don't, I have a hard time understanding why that would be objectionable, but but if that's the message you're getting, I think you're gonna have to, go have a little, tussle with the planning department, so.
Well, I can understand doing it the right way, but, we're talking about the integrity of the building too.
I agree.
And some of that soil has gone somewhere. But it's not where it was. It was on the building at one time, now it's not there. So we will pursue this with Dan. Come up with a plan and go forward.
Do we want to address the things we can address right now? Cabinets.
Yeah. Absolutely. So are we looking to hire someone, or do you have handy people in your group that could do some of this
I
work?
think we could do it. It's not rocket science.
Okay,
As long as we're not,
The plan was to just take out cabinets and put in stainless steel tables. We're
Yeah.
not installing any new.
there's some other things, we're not sure that we need an oven in there. The kitchen is unsightly, but, we deal with what we've got, so. As far as the chairs, that's just Irene's hope that we can get those 4 chairs replaced, so we have 8 chairs at each table.
We should have the same format for the chairs to just go ahead and order 4 more chairs. I mean,
So it's okay.
we.
so yeah, chairs, cabinets, $2,000, replace that back door is gonna be $500.
So we'd have the township do that. Somebody at the township replace the door. Or do you want us to get the door and replace it?
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be my suggestion, if you have somebody that's handy that can,
Well, I built my house, I can do that.
yeah. That's what I figured.
I would prefer a steel door,
Yes,
would be safer.
Yeah.
Okay,
No window or anything, just solid probably.
Okay. All right.
How about that back step?
Right now it's wood.
It's just a chunk of wood.
Yep.
It's not even a step. I mean, you're not, yeah, I don't see anything on this list you couldn't do.
You mentioned, stainless steel instead of cabinets or instead of cabinets.
The
So-
cabinets aren't being used. Apparently, we used to have plates and stuff that the people could rent when you rented the pavilion, but they're all empty now and they're kind of falling apart. So the recommendation was to take the cabinets out and replace them with like stainless steel serving tables. Just kind of give it a fresher look.
So we're not looking at cabinets, we're looking at stainless steel tables.
Everybody brings in their own paper now because they don't have to wash the dishes.
One of those people. Yes, I have not with me, but a list of the tables we wanted and prices that I can email to Tiffany.
So that's just like you see in a commercial kitchen.
Yeah, just like Home
Yes.
Depot.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I think if it was 2,000 tops, it was around $1,500, but.
This is what you're talking about?
Yes.
So do we want to approve a certain amount and then
When's this for?
maybe Gary can
Up
check,
to,
yeah, Gary can check with Tiffany to make sure that that's falling within our budget. I'm sure it's no problem,
what are you thinking, total cost? Oh, what?
3,000.
I was thinking 5, but
We're talking about the door now and everything?
yeah.
Back
We
door.
haven't checked on the price of the door.
They don't know.
Well, if we gave a motion to up to a dollar amount, I mean, that doesn't mean you have to spend it.
Would you want to
Figure it
include
out.
the items that they might apply with for permit for in case they get that approval?
Yeah, we could. Cause that's very minimal cost, really. So maybe we approve up to $5,000, but we'll have Tiffany check to make sure that it falls within budget first. Gary, you can check with her.
Yeah.
I would be good with that.
I'm good with that.
Someone wants to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to allow the Northridge Park to upgrade up to the amount of $5,000. And if there's needs for more, you'll have to come back for another motion.
Second.
Second by Nathan. Any more discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Passes.
Very much.
Thank you. And last under new business is office assistant. That's your request.
Kind of,
Just say yes.
yeah, we just wanted to get a new person hired, just start learning we just need another like backup, basically, and Leah in the next 3 to 5 years is gonna be retiring, so it'd be a good idea to get somebody to start learn her she does so much stuff. We need time to get somebody to learn to take that over and then just to kind of ease the load on the rest of us.
So
There are many days where I'm here alone. I'll say that.
Right.
Too many.
too many. But Tiffany is going to look up our last, job description. And I'd like to make a motion that once you find that and tweak it, that we go ahead and advertise for an assistant in the office.
I'll second that.
At what pay rate, whatever is already currently assigned?
Correct.
Was that already?
Well, it would be on that.
So the same pay rate as the last
Right.
office assistant that we had.
Oh, that's
And-
right.
Right.
She was in the.
So we had a motion and a second.
Yeah, it's budgeted.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
I have talked to Tiffany and Leah a little bit about this, and there was a little bit of talk about, could we approach this in a way where we maybe have like a college age intern come in who can, who's either just out of school or is going into their senior year, who can sit and learn, be there to help, but also like mainly be there to learn Leah's job, and then have that potentially lead into a full-time office assistant position. It was just something that was mentioned.
That'd be ideal if we could get an intern of that nature.
Because then when I was going around and looking, like there's no, for example, at UMD, there's no public administration program, which would be like the ideal major for something like this, but
The problem I foresee with that is I feel like you're training someone in for them to leave.
Or we all know training somebody in prevents people from doing their job effectively. And if you do all that and then they just leave
Yeah.
and then you're doing it again and again and again.
Chris?
I just wanted to add to Nathan's point. I do know a lot of community colleges, they do offer that as part of their college requirements, having some type of a internship. And I remember when I was going to college, it was challenging at the time to find businesses that were willing to offer some type of an intern that would work with college credit. But it is becoming more and more common where for business background degrees, you have to have some form of a semester-long internship credit. So something to think about.
So we had a motion from Ruth and there was a second from who?
Gary.
From Gary to find the application for an office assistant and get it back out there again. Any other discussion?
Yeah, just a quick question. Tiffany, what do you think of the interim situation or option?
Intern, there are pros and cons. If you're getting somebody that is interested in staying, that would be good, but Logan does bring up a good point that you might just be training somebody that wants to take it and go somewhere bigger with it. So,
Couldn't we do both? Hire somebody and then if there's an intern, because I know, that's been one of the issues is we don't have enough help. We don't have enough help. I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Motion on the table. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. And I don't think, if we had an intern or somebody come to us and wanted to intern for a semester or something, I don't think we'd turn them away. I think we would definitely consider that. But I think what we really want to do is what we motioned here, and just get that out there and see if we can find someone that's definitely a job to move into it, be here for the long haul.
The hard part is with such a small office and everyone's stretched so thin to take that time
And then
away
turn
and
it
train.
on. It's like saying here, babysit this person, or something to that effect, yeah.
Both the gotta do.
Okay, personnel reports. What do we got here? Kyle,
Barely get nothing.
you're easy.
There's the first. Save it for the business man.
Me?
Got a couple things here. I don't know if you guys had all gotten the notice, but, Thomson Township made Pete Stauber's list for CDSR projects for that'd be Birch Drive and then the I-35 utilities. So big deal that we're on that. So we're crossing our fingers, hoping for an appropriation bill that he can put that in on. So, so that came through. Just this week, we had WLSSD reach out. I think there was some unknowns about exactly where their line was. And I think the old GIS system's not supported anymore. So I think somebody was filling over top of a pipe, and because Dan Belden from WLSSD lives here, he sent a message to the township, but we, through that, got the lines all added into Silversmith, so we can see that now. So, so now the staff has the resources to be able to identify that. And then the other big thing that I've been working on is Riverbend, just working on with them to get the last items cleaned up so that it's ready for the final plat. So they're working with their engineer a bit. But that's the big stuff I've got.
Okay, thanks. Josh?
Ethan, did you want to discuss a little bit about what we talked about with,
Oh, yeah.
smoke testing?
Yeah, that was Yeah, so, because Thomson Township is a Lake Superior coastal city, you guys, qualify for, DNR coastal grants. So we were interested in putting a grant up to $4,500 to clean up Lake Superior. And, what we've been talking about is Lift Station 1 out here, just on the northwest side of 61 and Kenosha, or 61
Midway River.
and Midway, up around Midway. So we could do smoke testing up there is one of the things I was thinking about. That lift station runs pretty consistently when it rains, and I guess that's what I've always heard. So I think it would be a probably good investment if we can get a grant to do some smoke testing, where they actually, open up a couple manholes, block everything off, and they pump smoke into the sewer pipes. And wherever there's cracks in the pipes, that where water seeps down, the smoke will seep up. So then you can identify places where there's cracks in the pipes, broken cleanouts, just failures that are leading to the township pumping water into WLSSD's system that is just rainwater. So we put an estimate together for $8,500 is what it would take to do that, put a report together so that we could report it back to the DNR. So if the town board is interested in applying for that, we could go ahead and make that application.
Is there anything else that you can think of that we could apply that grant to? Because I know Minnesota Rural Water would come out and do that with us with their equipment.
Yeah, so I talked to Josh on that. So it's kind of a horse apiece. We have that equipment and we can do it. Minnesota Rural Water can do it too. I think costs are about the same. I think the big thing is just having, they always need enough staff or just bodies there to walk around looking for the smoke. And then Rural Water doesn't do a report, so there'd be some amount of probably my time to do a report. So depending on who, or it wouldn't matter who would do it. It just DNR wants a report that they can put on their website saying, look at what we did. Sure. So
you think of the entire sanitary basin, so all the way up to the ball field?
yep, everything, Northridge,
Timberland,
so.
and then the frontage road.
Yeah, that, everything, I just estimated everything that's on that lift station 1. So,
Yeah, I'm always for grants.
yeah, if we can figure out the details, Rural Water, we can get a price from them too. So but I think that kind of fits in line with that easier grant that they give out quarterly, so.
Go for it.
Sweet. Then the other thing I've been working with Josh and Tiffany on what our televising budget is, sewer televising, so that we can start getting quotes for that. Yep. That's all I have.
Josh, what else you got? Nice to see them graders out today. I kept all my teeth driving school bus today.
Yeah, we had a short window, for things to dry up. We're still fighting the frost and wet roads where the sun don't shine, so those aren't gonna hold up the best, but I've been out of the office all week sitting in a grader, so I don't have a lot prepared for tonight, but a lot of the stuff I do have, I'm working on. It's kind of for a work session. We can discuss that later. Also, I've been getting a couple calls about, damage on curbsides, roadsides or whatever. And, I would like to comment that, this is my 7th season plowing for the township. And this was the most challenging with the freeze thaw going on. But, next week is supposed to be nice, and the road crew will be out starting to fix up sides of roads and some yards and stuff. So just everybody bear with us as we got a lot to do, and the county does too. So we'll be busy on that. And another thing too, I do have done here. it was brought up at the annual meeting for us to start looking into doing government state bidding for fuel costs. And I reached out to Superior Fuel, which covers this area, and I got some numbers from them, and it's gonna be cheaper than what we are doing right now with some of the companies around here. So I would like to go forward and try them out. We don't have to sign a contract. We can just, we can get put on a will call, or they offered to put monitors on our tanks where I can check that on my phone or the laptop. Then they can either keep us on a key fill, or we can do a will call. So I would like to go forward and try them out and see if that works.
Sounds like saving money, Josh.
Yeah. And I'd like to thank Chris for helping me, pointing me in that direction there.
Happy to help.
And that is all I have until we do a work session.
All right. Casey,
For the month of March, there was 136 calls for service in Thomson Township, which I handled 113 of those.
Busy.
awesome. Thank you. All right, reports from board members. Nathan?
Fire District Board met last night. There's gonna be a countywide fire and EMS discussion on April 22nd. I'm not 100% sure of where the location will be, but
Carleton County Transportation.
okay, that's what I thought. And then the fire district voted to reduce the ALS intercept fees for the remainder of this year before the full contract would kick in next year. So that's what I got.
All right, Gary?
I don't have anything.
Nothing further.
I don't think I have anything else either.
Nothing here.
Tiffany?
Holding things down.
Dave?
Together.
Nothing to.
Just the other, number 10.
Motion to adjourn, anyone?
Nope.
Well, we got a work
Work
session.
session.
Oh, work session. Set up a work session.
Set it up.
Oh.
Tuesday's your early day?
Yeah.
28th?
28.
Yeah, that would work.
What time are we looking at?
Evenings are good for me.
4,
Evenings are good for me.
4 o'clock evening enough?
4:30?
I hear 5. Do I hear 5?
Going once.
5:15.
Could we do 5? I hate to make any.
Tuesday.
Here, we meet here.
Yes.
That was easy.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion from Ruth, second from Logan. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, close then.
Yeah, okay.
Oh. They stopped over.
I guess let's zip this couch for a little bit.
Hey, you got somebody in town?
Yeah, my son and I, this is that later.
Oh, that's Cub Scout. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.